I'd entertain a motion to approve the previous town board meeting minutes. All
Make that motion.
I'll second.
in favor? Motion carries. Why is it always you, Rick? I don't know.
I'm trying to talk here.
I know. We're trying to have a meeting up here. Yeah, we missed you last month. Happy birthday, by the way. Supervisor report, July 2016. Easy Pass, $150. Ambulance fees, $2,843.10. Town clerk fees, $148. Cell tower, $345.29. Justice fees, $8,514. Building permit fees, $1,923. Dog licenses, $107.50. Shandaken Highway AWSMP reimbursement, $5,993.35. June interest, 28 cents. Phoenicia water interest, $1.57. Phoenicia water rents, $943.45 for a grand total of $20,969.54. And thank you, Mr. Riccadella, for quieting my father. Supervisor report, month of August 2016. Purchases and repairs. It's going to be great. Purchases and repairs. Tonight we have a few resolutions concerning purchases and contracts for multiple departments throughout the town. The Highway Department is looking to replace an outdated chipper. They will be placing the old one out for auction and purchasing a new chipper from the public bid site. Parks and Recreation Board earlier this year was awarded a grant through the O'Connor Foundation. Part of that award was for the purchase of 2 soccer goals for Smith Park and Pine Hill. There are more purchases to come from that grant over the next few months. The museum is in need of a storage shed, and we have received 3 bids for the shed. They are recommending the purchase of the shed from Farmer Jones Baby Barns here in Shandaken, and we will be looking to use some of our Good Neighbor funds for this purchase. Lastly, last month, we went out for bids for necessary repair for work on the town-owned building in Phoenicia. We will open the bids tonight, and considering the bid amounts, may be looking to utilize Good Neighbor funds to complete these repairs to the roof and the basement entry. Ambulance. Following last month's resignation of Ambulance Chief Muller Lally, Brendan Whalen has been appointed interim chief. Mr. Whalen was the training officer for the department, and following his appointment as chief, he has resigned from his training officer position and has made a recommendation to appoint paramedic Michael Williams as the training officer for the remainder of the year. Events. We have several events this month as we wind down the summer toward Labor Day. This week is one of our biggest events, which is the 7th Annual Phoenicia International Festival of the Voice. This year's event will highlight the works of William Shakespeare and other British and Celtic works. The event will culminate with a performance of Othello on Saturday night. If opera is not your bag, man, take a look at the schedule, as I'm sure you'll find something that may pique your interest. We wish them a wonderful event with delightful weather and a robust audience. Of course, not to be outdone is our own town event, Shandaken Day, due to take place on Saturday, August 27th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Big Indian Park on Route 28. This year, we've received corporate sponsorships from 3 of our local banks, Community Bank in Boyceville and Key Bank and Ulster Savings Bank in Phoenicia. They have provided us funding to hold the first annual Shandaken Human Foosball Tournament. Just like the tabletop game, but on a much larger scale, we are looking for 8 teams of 6 people who will represent a local not-for-profit organization, be it a library, a fire department, arts organization, etc. Team members do not have to be members of the organization. The teams will battle through 10 to 15-minute games in a single elimination tournament. There will be cash prizes upwards of $250 provided to the top 4 teams for their respective organization. We hope this adds a bit of fun to the festivities, along with the usual kids' games, vendors, food, and live music all day from Wild Blue. Additionally, the Shandaken Day Committee has selected the following individuals for recognition this year. The Hamlet Heroes for Chichester, Phoenicia, and Woodland Valley will be Michael Riccadella and Calvin Smith. The Pride of Shandaken Award this year goes to Teresa Grant of Shandaken. Each of these individuals has helped shape what makes our town a unique place to live and have, through their individual and prolonged efforts, improved the quality of life in our town for residents and visitors alike. We look forward to bestowing these awards at Shandaken Day and hope to see you all there on Saturday, August 27th. There are only a few vendor spots left, so if you're looking to secure your spot, please download the form from the town website or by calling the town clerk's office at 688-5004. Library. We have representatives from the Phoenicia Library here to discuss their proposal to increase their current funding through property taxes. They are proposing an increase of $68,000 to go from a $94,000 annual tax levy to $162,000. The increase represents a 72.3% tax levy increase. The libraries in our town are not funded through a special district. They both, Phoenicia and Pine Hill, receive their monies through the levy imposed by the town of Shandaken. We collect the tax on their behalf and distribute it to them early on in the year. The libraries, though, are what are deemed association libraries, whereby each has their own governing board of directors. The board of directors votes as to how much funding to request each year. If they wish to increase their funding, the board of directors votes to do so and then must complete a petition signed by town voters in order to force a public referendum vote to the voters for said increase. By course of action, the town board cannot, once the petition is certified by the town clerk, deny the petition and must accept it and request the Board of Elections to place it on the ballot for the next general election meeting this November. This tax increase, with the Phoenicia Library being the sole beneficiary, Pine Hill Library is keeping with their current funding at $24,000 annually, without any other increase to the general budget, would read as a 3.88% increase on the general town tax line of your tax bill in January. In essence, if you paid $1,000 in general town taxes last year, you would pay $1,038.80. That is before we add any increases for healthcare, retirement costs for town employees, departmental needs, highway equipment, etc. We have confirmed that the library budget would not affect our tax cap calculation, and as we have proven in the past, we will work hard to keep your taxes within that cap as best we can, meaning we strive annually to not impose a tax increase of more than $20 on the $1,000 levied the previous year. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 12th, 2016 at 7 p.m. With that, I'd like to Joyce. Do you have any other announcements?
Yes,
I'm sure you
we
do.
Okay, so Phoenicia Fish and Game Association is having a spaghetti and meatball dinner on this Wednesday, August 3rd, 5 to 7 p.m. And on Saturday is the Big Indian Alvarita Fire Company. The Ladies Auxiliary will have their 55th annual chicken and rib barbecue, Saturday, August 6th, 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the firehouse. And Saturday also, August 6th, Bel Air is having their summer beach party. This is the second one, in case you missed the first one. Kids' activities start at 1, live music 3 to 5, sandcastle contest, all-day barbecue, beverages, and more. And you mentioned Shandaken Day. And just to let people know way ahead of time, because everybody always calls like the day after. It's really kind of weird. But our next spay and neuter clinic is Saturday, September 24th. And we also offer for town residents a
Can't be the 24th.
Saturday, September 24th? September?
No. Oh, September.
September. We're giving them,
Wow.
you won't believe, I swear, it's
Okay.
like a full moon every time or something. Call the next day. You missed it. So they offer the rabies and December shots at $10 and $15. But the really cool thing, if you have a cat that has to be spayed, our vet gives us a special deal that you can get a cat spay for $25. And that's with the help of the Shandaken Animal Volunteer Effort and our vet, the mobile vet van that comes here. So it comes every 2 months. So next time is Saturday, September 24th. And that's it.
Do any other town board members have any other announcements? Okay. With that, we'll move on to communications, and I'll invite Liz. I assume you want to speak, or who's going to speak? Bernie? Would you like to speak on behalf of the Phoenicia Library?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Clearly.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Bernie Hansel, and I'm the president of the Board of Trustees of the Phoenicia Library. We are here tonight to submit petitions for placing a proposition on the November election ballot. The proposition asks for an increase of funding for the Phoenicia Library. To clarify, we do not receive any funding from the town of Shandaken's budget. Like all nonprofit library associations in the U.S., the Venetia Library relies solely on direct funding from the community itself. In addition, we receive New York State library aid covering approximately 1% of our budget, while fundraising covers about 10% of our budget. Therefore, the rest of the funding comes directly from the community. Community funding for the Venetia Library has not increased since 2011, yet usage and range of services has increased dramatically. Our New York State Charter specifically states we serve all residents of Shandaken. The proposition seeks an average increase of $14 per year per household. We ask you to come out and support this proposition on November 8th by voting yes. Let's help Shandaken thrive in resources by supporting the Venetia Library. Remember, the proposition will be located on the flip side of the ballot. Now I'd like to introduce Christian Smythe, President of the Friends of the Venetia Library.
Thank you. My name is Christian Smythe. I'm the president of the Friends of the Venetia Library. I live in Venetia. I just want to talk briefly about the increase in usage that Bernie mentioned, just to give everybody a little background on what's been going on at the library. So last year, people checked out 50% more books, DVDs, and other media than the previous year. During that same period, attendance of programs was up 180%. These programs offer something for all age groups, including story time and crafts for kids, college prep and math tutoring for teens, computer training and repair for adults, Medicare and health insurance registration workshops for seniors. In addition, the free Wi-Fi and cell phone booster the library provides is used by residents and visitors, which in turn benefits the local businesses. A 2015 library survey and focus group found overwhelming support for what the library is doing. And as a result of the increased interest, the library has had to extend its hours. Although this is great news, it's more than the current budget allows. So with more on the current budget, I'd like to introduce Sue Bernstein of the Venetia Library Board of Trustees.
Thank you for hearing us. Our current budget is $177,000. Town taxes from a proposition passed in 2011 make up $94,000 of that total. To make up the difference in the short term, we have been using our savings, which is not sustainable. With the increase, we would still need to fundraise $15,000 to make our budget. Without the increase, we will have to eliminate many of our programs and some of our open hours. Board member Holly George Warren will share some of the financial benefits of the Venetia Library that we provide to all Shandaken residents and its visitors.
Thank you, Sora. Hi, I'm Holly George Warren. I've been a library trustee, volunteer for the past 8 years, and I'd like to tell you about how the library actually saves money for the town. Each household pays a small annual contribution, and in return, all individuals have access to thousands of dollars per year of materials, services, and free programs. As an example, let's look at two ends of the spectrum of our library patrons. On average, a retiree checks out about 2 books a week, thus saving approximately $1,788 per year that he or she would have spent purchasing books. A typical elementary-aged child who attends our early reader and activity programs checks out on average 10 books a week, attends 42 free programs a year, and views about 2 DVDs a month. Her family is saving $9,234 per year as she gets a good start on reading early in life. Thank you all so much for your attention.
You all set?
That's it.
That's all your speakers? I'd entertain any questions from the audience? If there are questions.
Go ahead.
John?
I heard percentages, I don't know what child reads 10 books a week. I know my grandkids are homeschooled, they are top notch, they don't do 10 books a
A
week.
lot of those are picture books for the young children.
Percentages are up each year, but there's no numbers. I mean, if it went from 1 book to 10 books, and 1 book to 2 books, it'd be up 100%. You're asking the community to fund something without any detailed specifics. And it's gonna be a real tough sell in the government. I can tell you that unless you come up with a lot more specifics than generalities that you're giving today, right?
We do have on our website, we have a breakdown of a lot of these costs that people can check on the website. And we also have handouts at the library too that show all the costs and the savings and all that kind of thing. So you want to check those out, and then any questions that you have, we would be glad to help answer those.
I don't know any department that can ask for an 80% increase in 1 year and receive that. That's,
Well,
Let
$14
me
a
answer
year
that.
per household, that's about.
Let me answer that for a second. First of all, this is not an increase per year, okay?
Only 1 year?
This is not for 1 year. We haven't been funded since 2011. At that time, the average household paid an additional $3. We're asking for an additional $14 on top of our $20. I know the percentage is large.
huge.
It's not a sustainable thing for us to be fundraising $70,000 a year.
but
We
there's
cannot
way
do
other
it.
ways to get money. Other areas
Gentlemen,
that can't get it.
I'm sorry, I'm asking you to address the board
Yeah.
when you're answering questions or posing questions. Yes, Mr. Caplan.
Well, what I can't understand is how the Morton Library can function on $20-some-odd thousand a year, providing the same type of services that you do and the same type of programs, yet you're looking for twice what they get every year to increase your budget to $168,000. I'm a taxpayer. I'm tired of this.
Well, they have fewer employees and fewer hours, and that makes a big difference.
I say the same thing. I see a lot of activity up in Pine Hill Library. I don't see that much in the Phoenicia Library.
Where have you been?
I've been here 20
Well, I
years.
don't think you're observing very good.
So my question is, where's this extra money going to? They addressed a lot of things, I'm all for the library, I love the library. But as a taxpayer, I want to know where this extra money is going to.
Most of the money goes for payroll, to pay the workers in the library. We do have some volunteers that help a little bit, but we have to pay actual librarians to be open all these hours that we are open. And that's where the largest percentage of our money goes. The other money goes to purchase books, and we have to pay for the programming. People don't just come for free and fix people's computers and things like that we offer as a free service. If you compare the price, for example, to go to Kingston and have your computer fixed and looked at, you will see just the savings alone, how much that would cost, whereas we have a professional that comes in once a month and fixes people's computers for free in the library.
And this breakdown is on the library website?
Yes.
For all this money? Okay.
Uh-huh. So you can actually, focus and study. It's sometimes easier to check out all the figures when you're looking at it rather than just listening. So.
Okay, thanks.
How many employees do you have?
Let's see, we have a total of, Liz?
Let's say we have, like, 7.
Did you say 7 or 12?
Just to clarify, there have to be 2 staff members at the library for any opening hour. 2 staff members.
Is this a firehouse?
2 staff members can cover both floors.
We have a 2-story library.
I just find it, that's $10,000, $5,000 a year person. And we couldn't even get our town supervisor a $5,000 raise last year. Something's wrong here with this picture.
I think too, on your budget, when you gave us this sheet for the budget, you generalized, you gave us like personnel $105,000 a year. What we really, I think, would like to see is it broke down, who's getting what, where, is there overtime involved? Then you have like programming, almost $20,000, $19,517. Again, nothing is broke down, and there's not like a comparison sheet that we can see what happened in 2011 to now and why there's such an increase. It's just, you gave us numbers that were large on this, but we don't know what it is for what. Again, 105,000. You say there's 7, you think there's 7 employees, you're shorter. That's what I mean. How many employees do you have and who's getting what? That would be my question to, they ask us to break down the sheet a little bit more so we know exactly what
We
I
have
get.
to give you that information.
Yeah, also, whenever we hire a new person, all that information is part of our board meetings. So just like you guys have your minutes, we have minutes and they're all available to the public. And I think our most recent person that we hired is being paid $11 an hour, just off the top of my head. But anyway, just.
I have a question for them. Has any grants been applied for? Have you looked into trying to, if you didn't use the word grants, has anything?
We have applied for many grants, but each grant that we get is specific to a program. There are no grants to do the budget. In other words, the library budget relies on the tax. The grants would not cover that.
Well, we've looked into grants, and there are grants that will pay for overhead and computers and things like that.
We've
So
gotten all that.
Yeah, we have applied for some of those grants, and unfortunately, our most recent grant was to pay for children's books. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but it seems like it was around, I think like around $4,000. Oh, it was $1,000. Okay, so $1,000 to pay for children's books. So each grant we apply for, and Liz is a wonderful grant application person. She's constantly applying for grants, and she's really good at it. We do get a lot of grants that she applies for, but it's for specific things. Like for example, she applied for a grant, so we were able to cover the cost, most of the cost, not all of it. But this past winter, we had a very popular thing called Cabin Fever concerts. So we were able to hire local musicians, and keep in mind, when we hire people, we are generally hiring people from the area to come and do these programmings for our people that can come for free to participate and watch the programs. So for those concerts, for example, which were very, very well attended, the library was packed, standing room only, we were able to apply for a grant, and it covered most of the cost for those to pay the performance.
So the money you're requesting is in addition to that. So
For the
It's a
operating
one-shot
budget.
deal. You apply for
So
it.
by operating, you mean the salary? Is that what you mean? So basically, you're asking for money for salary?
So, let me just step in a second, Mr. Cal. I will agree with Bernie, what he said. Again, I know for the multiple grants that we've applied for, you generally do not get grants for standard operating costs. That's on you to figure out how to do that within your budget. I do have a couple of questions though. One, Liz and I had a conversation about getting more detailed financials, and she was willing to provide them to the town, that we will provide a link or copies of them on our website within the next few weeks or whatever. But yeah, I'm with Timmy that we need to see a more detailed breakdown of what those costs are for programs and for personnel, so we know what they're going towards. Just saying in general programs, if I stood up here and said, for departments, we're doing this, we'd be shot down every November. But just a little bit more detail in that report.
Yeah.
I heard a couple of comments was 2014 to 2015, you saw a 50% rental increase. Do you think that's due to you moving to a more productive space that you had on Main Street, moving out of the temporary housing and moving into something that was more standard, and therefore you got more traffic, plus people wanting to come see the new library and see what
And
it's all
also the
about?
fact that we offer free internet and Wi-Fi there, and people's phones will work there. So not only local residents, but people that are staying in our local inns and motels, etc., that can't get service and who are having a nervous breakdown, they come over to the library, etc. So I think just having people, when people see people coming in and out of a place, it maybe entices more people, I don't know, but it is a very inviting space now, and it is back on Main Street. So we did a big survey of the public, And we also did focus groups to find out what our citizens would like to have in the library. And some of the people that actually get into the focus groups are not regular users of the library. And they told us the kind of programming that they want, the kind of books, the hours that would be most convenient for their schedules. And we got like a very strong message that people in town really wanted the library to be open late on Friday nights. So we did that. We're now open until 8 o'clock, and we actually offer free movies, a couple Friday nights out of the month, etc. So I think with all this, traffic and people having more accessible times to get in there, it's increased people checking out all of our stuff that we have for free.
Let me go back to something, Holly, you mentioned the uses and savings from usage because of your hours. Again, I live in Pine Hill. I use the Pine Hill Library here and there. My daughter, we rent DVDs, all that stuff. And again, as was pointed out, $24,000 a year on the limited hours that they have. The argument that people were renting books and DVDs because of the hour expansion, I think fails, because there's got to be other times where there are downtimes. I mean, we talked with the ambulance department where we had major adjustments in the funding for the ambulance department this year, and between the previous chief and the current chief, we've laid out plans where we actually look at what the slower times and call volumes are, so we can deplete the personnel on those times, so we can save for the other times for personnel in place. And maybe that's what needs to be looked at, is when you have those slower hours, maybe those were traditional hours for you many years ago, maybe that's not a traditional hour. Maybe people don't come to the library as often at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday or a Tuesday.
But they do. The library's busy almost
I-
every hour that we're
Bernie,
open.
wait. I'm going to say that there are times I've walked in the library and I'm the only person in the library other than the personnel.
That's
So
very rare.
to say that that's standard, that they're packed all the time, it's because, because you're open and you are a public building. So as soon as you open, there's going to be people coming in there. But I think there's limitations as well. And what I'm looking at are things like